14 steps. That's how close I was to the rest of my life. B7, B8, B9. I'm not running. Running draws eyes. I'm walking, steady, one carry-on rolling behind me. Everything I own is in that bag. 3 years with George, and this is what fits, packed in 9 minutes while he slept it off. Passport, tip money from 6 months of double shifts, 1 change of clothes. B10, B11. I can see the boarding desk. B12, right there. A gate agent scanning passes under fluorescent lights. 30 feet. My hands won't stop shaking, but my legs know where they're going. 3 months I planned this. 3 months of smiling at him across the dinner table while a one-way ticket sat in a locker at my job because he never once thought to check. He never once thought I was smart enough to leave. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. Gate B12, Delta, seat 14C. You really thought I wouldn't find out? Everything inside me goes cold. I look up, end of the corridor. George, walking toward me, hands in his pockets, not rushing, smiling the way he always smiles right before it gets bad. And behind me, the gate agent calls final boarding for a flight I'm never gonna make. She was 14 steps from freedom, 14, and the man who broke her found her anyway. If you've ever watched someone try to escape and felt your chest tighten, hit subscribe right now, because what happens next in this terminal is going to change everything you think you know about who shows up when the world goes silent. Like this video so it reaches someone who needs to hear this story tonight.
I turn. I run. I don't care about drawing eyes anymore. I make it 6 steps before his hand catches the back of my neck, not my arm, not my shoulder, my neck, and the momentum snaps me backward so hard my carry-on rips from my fingers and skids across the terminal floor. My knees hit tile. The sound that comes out of me isn't a word. It's something older than language, something that lives in the part of your chest where you keep every scream you ever swallowed. George's fist closes around my hair at the root and pulls up, and I'm on my feet again, not because I stood, but because he lifted me like something he owned. My scalp is on fire. My vision whites out at the edges. 3 months, he says it into my ear, quiet, almost tender. 3 months you made me look stupid. I claw at his wrist. I'm screaming, "Help me! Somebody help me, please!" And my voice is filling every corner of this terminal. It's bouncing off the glass walls and the polished floors and the 60-foot ceiling. There is no way anyone within 200 feet doesn't hear me. No one comes. A woman in a blue cardigan pulls her daughter close and covers her little girl's eyes, covers her eyes, not her ears. She can still hear me. Her mother just doesn't want her to see it. A man in a business suit looks up from his laptop, holds my gaze for exactly 1 second, then drops his eyes back to his screen. A couple near the window seats turn their backs, slowly, deliberately, like they're choreographing their cowardice. I see a security officer, young, maybe 23, 24, name badge. His hand goes to the radio on his shoulder. His fingers touch it, and then they stop. He watches George drag me 2 feet, 3 feet, and his hand just sits there on a radio he never keys. "You don't matter enough," George told me that once, sophomore year, when I asked why he hit me at his cousin's barbecue and nobody said anything. "You're not the kind of woman people intervene for. You never have been." I hated him for saying it. I hate him more for being right. George yanks me sideways and I stumble, and through the blur of pain and tears, I see something that breaks the last thing in me that was still holding. Near the ticket counter, 15 feet away, leaning against a pillar with his arms crossed, Jordan George's cousin, the one who has connections, who has people, who always finds what George needs found. He's watching me with his phone in one hand, arms folded, wearing the smallest smile I've ever seen on a human face. He's the one who sent the text. He's the one who found my flight. And he's smiling, not at George, not at the scene, at me, at the look on my face, at the exact moment I realized this was never an accident. They were here before I was. They were waiting. 3 months of planning, 6 months of double shifts, 9 minutes of packing in the dark, and it was never going to work. George pulls me closer, his mouth against my temple. We're going to the car, and you're going to walk with me, and if you scream again... I hear footsteps behind us, steady, unhurried, the kind of footsteps that don't belong to someone passing by.
George doesn't finish his sentence. The footsteps stop somewhere behind him, close, too close for a stranger, and I feel George's body change before I understand why. His grip doesn't loosen, but something shifts in his posture, a micro-adjustment, the way an animal goes rigid when it smells something above it on the food chain. Through the tears and the burning in my scalp, I see fragments. A man, 12 feet away, had been walking with another man, mid-conversation, mid-stride, and he just stopped, like someone hit pause on him. He's looking at us. No, he's looking at George's fist in my hair. His jaw does something subtle, a slow lock, like a door bolting shut from the inside. Then he starts handing things to the man beside him. His phone, his watch, his jacket, dark, expensive, folded once and passed over like a napkin. Each item removed with the calm precision of a surgeon laying out instruments in reverse. The man receiving them, stocky, thick-necked, the kind of person who looks like he was built to stand in front of doors, says something low. I catch 2 words, "Not here." He's ignored. The man in the white shirt begins rolling his left sleeve, slowly, 1 fold, 2, 3, and what emerges underneath isn't skin, it's ink, dense, intricate, covering every inch from wrist to elbow and climbing higher. He rolls the right sleeve, same thing. The tattoos don't look decorative, they look like a language, one that the stocky man clearly reads, because he closes his eyes for a half-second, like a man watching someone pull a pin from a grenade. The terminal has been pretending not to see me for the last 90 seconds, but this they see. A woman near the gate takes 3 steps backward. The security officer, whose hand has been resting on a dead radio, drops it to his side entirely, like he's just realized he's standing in the wrong story. The man walks forward. He doesn't push through the crowd. The crowd dissolves, people stepping aside before he reaches them, moving on instinct, the way water parts for something heavy and inevitable. He doesn't look at me, not yet. He looks only at George. And when he reaches us, he does something I don't expect. He doesn't swing. He doesn't shove. He places his hand on George's wrist, the one tangled in my hair, and he holds it there, just holds it, the way you'd hold a doorknob before deciding whether to open it or rip it off the hinges. Let her go. 3 words, flat, quiet, the volume of someone ordering coffee. And George's fingers open. I feel each one release, index, middle, ring, pinky, mechanical, involuntary, the way a hand opens when the brain receives a message it can't argue with. My hair falls against my neck, my scalp throbs with the ghost of his grip. I stumble forward, gasping, and no one catches me. I catch myself, palms on cold tile, breathing in fluorescent light and floor wax. Behind me, I hear George's voice, and for the first time in 3 years, there's something in it I've never heard before. It's thin. I turn around. The man in the white shirt hasn't moved. His hand is still on George's wrist, and George, George, who has never been afraid of anything. George, who put me in the emergency room twice and walked through the world like it owed him. George is looking at those tattooed forearms the way a man looks at the ocean when he realizes he's too far from shore. And the man still hasn't raised his voice.
I wake up, and the first thing I do is listen. That's what you learn. Before you open your eyes, before you move, before you breathe too loud, you listen. For footsteps, for the weight of someone standing over you, for the particular silence that means he's in the doorway, watching, deciding what kind of morning it's going to be. Nothing, just quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't have a man in it. I open my eyes. White ceiling, clean, no water stains, no cracks. Sunlight coming through gauze curtains, soft, the color of warm milk. I'm lying on sheets that smell like lavender, not fabric softener, actual lavender, like someone chose this. There's a glass of water on the nightstand, full, no fingerprints on it except condensation. Next to it, a small bottle of ibuprofen with 2 tablets already set out beside it. On the chair by the window, clothes, folded, a soft gray sweatshirt, black leggings, even socks, all in my size. I don't recognize this room. I don't recognize this bed. The last thing I remember clearly is the airport tile under my palms and a voice that said 3 words like they were a period at the end of a sentence. Everything after that is fragments. A car door, the stocky man driving, the man in the white shirt making a phone call in Korean, his voice low and even, never once looking at me like I was something to manage. I think I was shaking. I think I couldn't stop. I sit up slowly. My scalp aches where George's fingers were. I touch it, tender, swollen at the root. Real. All of it was real. I put my feet on the floor. Hardwood. Warm. I stand up and walk to the door, the bedroom door, and I put my hand on the knob. This is the test. This is always the test. George's apartment had a bedroom door that locked from the outside. He installed it the 2nd month, told me it was for my safety. The click of that lock was the last sound I heard most nights. I turn the knob. It opens. I stand there for a long time, holding the door open, staring into a living room I've never seen. Clean, bright, a kitchen counter with a coffee maker. And sitting on the sofa, legs crossed, reading something on a tablet, is a woman, mid-30s maybe, black hair pulled back, dressed like she manages things, and manages them well. She looks up, no surprise, like she's been waiting, but not impatiently. Good, you're up. My name is Annabella. I work with the man from the airport. She sets the tablet down. He told me to tell you 3 things. 1, the door is unlocked, the front door. You already found the bedroom. The smallest nod. 2, there's cash, a phone, and a train ticket on the counter. If you want to leave, they're yours. 3, if you stay, no one will touch you, ever again. She pauses. Those are your options. All 3 of them belong to you. All 3 of them belong to me. I look at the counter. The cash is there, the phone, the ticket. I look at the front door. I could walk through it right now, and something in this woman's face tells me she'd let me. I don't leave, but I don't sit on the sofa, and I don't touch the coffee maker, and I don't ask questions. I walk back to the bedroom, and I sit on the bed with my spine flat against the wall and my knees pulled to my chest. It's the only way I know how to sleep, back against something solid, face toward the door, in case it locks.
3 months earlier, before the ticket, before the plan, before I knew leaving was something my body was capable of. 2 a.m., the diner off Route 9, the one that smells like burned coffee and floor cleaner no matter what shift you're working. Emma's restocking ketchup bottles. I'm wiping down the counter with a rag that stopped being clean an hour ago. The fluorescent lights buzz the way they always buzz, that low electrical hum that becomes the sound of your life when you work enough overnight shifts. George hit me that night, left side below the ribs where it doesn't show. I've got concealer on my jaw from last week's bruise and a fresh one blooming underneath my uniform where no one will see. My hands are steady because hands learn to be steady. You pour coffee, you carry plates, you smile. The bruise does what it does underneath. The bell over the door rings at 2:07 a.m. A man walks in alone. I notice 3 things in this order. The watch, expensive, the kind that costs more than my car. The knuckles, split open, raw, not bandaged, like he either didn't notice or didn't care. And the eyes. The eyes are what stop me. They're not angry, they're not sad, they're finished. The look of someone who's been sitting inside himself for hours and found every room empty. He takes the corner booth, doesn't pick up a menu, doesn't look at his phone, just sits there with his hands on the table, staring at a spot on the wall like it owes him an answer. I pour coffee and bring it over without him asking, set it down, no words. He looks at the mug like he forgot that people do things like this, bring you something warm without being told to. He drinks it. I refill it 10 minutes later. He drinks that too. At 2:30, I bring him a slice of pie. Cherry. It's the only kind we have left this time of night, and it's not good. The crust is too dry, the filling's too sweet. But I bring it anyway, because there's something about a man sitting alone at 2 a.m. with bloody knuckles and empty eyes that makes you want to put something in front of him that isn't nothing. He looks up at me. The diner light is low in that corner. One of the bulbs has been dead for weeks and nobody's replaced it, and I can't see his face clearly, just the shape of it, the jaw, the way his mouth almost moves, like he's forgotten how to start a sentence. "What do I owe you?" His voice is quiet, accent I can't place. "Nothing," I say, before I think about it. "You looked like you needed it more than I needed the tip." He stares at me for a long time. Then he leaves. Emma finds the bill when she's clearing the table. She holds it up under the light and her hand is shaking. Queen, this is $500. I take it from her. I don't spend it. That night I slide it inside my passport case, the passport I haven't used since George decided I don't go places anymore, and I press it flat between the pages. Not as money. I had rent due and groceries to buy and a rib that might have been cracked. I kept it because a stranger left me proof that I did something small and someone, somewhere, thought it was worth more than I'd ever have charged. I didn't know his name. I never saw his face in full light. But I kept the bill like a letter I could read whenever George's voice got too loud inside my head. The second day, there's a knock. Not on the bedroom door, the front door. I hear Annabella open it, a low exchange of words, and then footsteps, heavy, measured. The stocky man from the airport. Steve. I've heard Annabella say his name once on the phone, the way you say the name of someone you've known long enough to stop being polite about. He's carrying my bag, my carry-on, the one that skidded across the terminal floor when George grabbed my neck, the one that held everything I owned, everything, and I hadn't even let myself think about it, because thinking about losing it would have meant thinking about the airport, and thinking about the airport would have meant feeling George's fist in my hair again, and I can't, not yet. Steve sets it by the bedroom door, doesn't come in, doesn't speak to me, just sets it down and nods at Annabella and leaves.
I wait until I hear the front door close. Then I pull the bag onto the bed and unzip it with hands that are steadier than they were yesterday. Clothes, toiletries, the envelope with my tip money, still counted, still rubber-banded, and my passport case. I open it the way you open something fragile. The passport is there, and tucked between pages 2 and 3, soft at the creases from being folded and unfolded too many times, the bill. $500. Still here, still real. I press it flat against my palm and hold it there, and something in my chest unlocks just enough to let me breathe at a depth I haven't reached in 2 days. That pie was terrible. I don't move. The voice comes from the doorway, the bedroom doorway, and it's quiet, almost careful, like a man testing whether his presence in a room is something a woman can survive right now. I look up. He's leaning against the frame, white shirt, different from the airport. No, same shirt, just washed, sleeves down this time, buttoned at the wrists, covering what I saw him unveil in the terminal. Without the tattoos visible, he looks almost ordinary. Almost. Except for the stillness. The way he stands like someone who learned a long time ago that moving too fast around broken things only breaks them further. He's looking at the bill in my hand. I'm looking at his mouth, the way it almost moves, the way it almost forms a sentence before deciding against it. I've seen that before. I've seen it in a corner booth at 2 a.m. under a dead fluorescent bulb, and the recognition doesn't hit me all at once. It bleeds in. The voice first, low, quiet, accented in a way I couldn't place over a cup of coffee I didn't charge him for. Then the jaw, then the way he holds silence like other people hold conversation. The man from the diner. "You did this," I say. It's not a question. He doesn't nod. He doesn't need to. My mind is doing math it doesn't want to do. Emma told me a week after that night. Emma told me a week after that night. "That man came back, Queen, asked for you by name. I told him, was that okay?" And I'd said, sure, and I'd never thought about it again, because what was there to think about? A stranger came back. Strangers do that. Except this stranger didn't come back for pie. He found my name, he kept it, and 3 months later, when a woman was being dragged by her hair in an airport terminal and 50 people pretended they were somewhere else, he didn't hesitate, not for 1 second, because he already knew who she was. The intervention wasn't random. He came for me. He didn't save a stranger. He came back for the woman who saved him with a cup of coffee and a slice of terrible pie at 2 a.m. If that just hit you the way it hit me, share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that small kindness is never wasted. Subscribe and stay right here because Queen is about to find out exactly what kind of man is standing in her doorway, and what she does with that truth is something you will not see coming.
The phone Annabella left on the counter rings on the 3rd day. I've been watching it since she put it there. A clean phone, new, no contacts, no history, the kind of phone that exists for one purpose, to make you reachable without making you findable. I didn't touch it for 2 days, not because I was afraid of it, because I was afraid of who might be on the other end and which version of my life their voice would drag me back into. But the number on the screen is Marie's, my best friend, the woman who helped me cover bruises with drugstore concealer in her bathroom and never once said, "Just leave him," because she understood that just is the cruelest word you can say to someone who's been calculating the cost of leaving for 3 years. I answer, Queen, oh my God, where are you? Are you safe? I heard Jordan's people are saying, the airport, Queen, people saw you. Queen, breathe. No, listen to me. The man, the one who, Queen, do you know who that man is? Her voice drops, the way voices drop when the information is too dangerous to say at full volume. He's not some businessman. He's not some good Samaritan. He's
People are scared of him, Queen. The kind of scared where they won't even say his name on the phone. Jordan's crew they're not angry, they're quiet. That's worse. You know that's worse. Whatever this man is, he's Queen. The kind of person that makes people like Jordan go silent. And if he has you somewhere, if he's keeping you, Queen, stop. She stops. I look across the apartment. Steve is standing by the window, where he's been standing for the last 40 minutes, watching the street below with the relaxed attention of a man who does this the way other people breathe. Through the kitchen window, I can see the car parked on the corner. Different car than yesterday, same energy, same men inside who sit too still to be civilians. Last night I heard footsteps in the hallway outside the apartment, not coming in, patrolling, a rotation, every 4 hours, quiet, professional, and constant. I think about the airport, the way the crowd peeled apart before he reached them, the way the security officer, the one who couldn't even key his radio for me, took 2 full steps backward when the tattoos came out, the way Steve said, "Boss, not here," with the tone of a man who already knew it was pointless. I think about the knuckles in the diner, split, raw, the kind of damage that doesn't come from punching a wall. I know what he is, I say. Marie is quiet for a long time. And you're staying? I look across the apartment, the front door unlocked. I checked it this morning, the way I check it every morning, not because I want to leave, but because I need to know I can. The cash is still on the counter, the train ticket, everything Annabella laid out, untouched, unrevoked. Jordan never gave me an option. He gave me instructions. The distance between those 2 things is the entire width of my life. Yeah, I say, I'm staying. Queen, Marie, I have survived a man who hurt me because he wanted to. I watch Steve shift his weight by the window, his eyes never leaving the street. I think I can survive one who's choosing not to. She doesn't argue. She knows better. She knows I've been doing this math longer than anyone should have to. After I hang up, the apartment is quiet again. I sit with the phone in my lap and listen to the silence, the clean, unoccupied silence of a room where no one is about to walk in and ruin me. But outside, the men rotate shifts, and I think about what kind of man requires that much muscle just to keep the world at arm's length, and what happens when the world pushes back.
The world pushed back on a Tuesday. I didn't see it happen. I heard it. Or rather, I heard the absence of it. The apartment went tight. That's the only way I can describe it. The air changed. Steve, who had been leaning against the kitchen counter drinking coffee like a man with nowhere particular to be, set his mug down mid-sip and pressed his finger to his ear, an earpiece I hadn't noticed until that moment, and his entire body reorganized. Same man, different machinery inside. He said 4 words in Korean, then he smiled. Not a warm smile, the smile of a man who has been sitting still for 5 days and has just been given permission to move. He looked at me once. "Stay inside. This isn't about you." Then he walked out the front door, and for the first time since I arrived, I heard it lock from the outside. Through the kitchen window, I watched pieces of it unfold. 3 cars on the corner, not the rotation cars, different ones, parked too close together with the engines still running. Jordan's people. I recognized the energy before I recognized any faces, the way men stand when they've come to collect something they believe belongs to them. Shoulders forward, chins up, the posture of people who've never been told no by anything that mattered. They didn't make it to the building. Ji-hun's men were already outside, already positioned. I don't know when they moved. I never heard them leave, but there they were, spread across the block like they'd been planted there at the foundation. 6 of them, maybe more, still, patient, smiling the way Steve smiled, like they'd been waiting for exactly this and were grateful it finally arrived. There was a conversation.
I couldn't hear the words through the glass, but I could read the geometry. Steve stepped forward. One of Jordan's men stepped forward. They talked, 30 seconds, maybe less, and then Jordan's man stopped talking. His mouth just closed. Something Steve said landed in him like a stone dropping into deep water, and the ripple moved through every man standing behind him. I watched 3 grown men go pale in real time. One of them got back in his car before the conversation was over. They left, all of them, engines pulling away from the curb with the hurried obedience of animals who've just discovered they wandered into the wrong territory. Steve came back inside, unlocked the door, resumed his coffee. "Handled," he said. Nothing else. Ji-hun wasn't there for any of it. I didn't see him leave earlier. I didn't hear where he went. But that evening, hours later, after the street had gone quiet and the light through the curtains had turned amber, the front door opened and he walked in. He didn't speak. He went to the kitchen sink, turned on the faucet, and put his hands under the water. I was sitting at the counter, the first time I'd left the bedroom voluntarily, and I watched the water run over his knuckles. It ran pink. Not red, pink, the diluted color of someone else's blood being washed away with the unhurried thoroughness of routine. He dried his hands on a dish towel, folded it, set it on the counter. Then he looked at me, the second time he'd looked directly at me since the airport, and said, "He won't come to the airport again." I believed him, completely, immediately, the way you believe gravity. And that's when I understood the thing I'd been circling for 5 days. The hands that washed pink in the sink were the same hands that held George's wrist with surgical calm, the same hands that gave me a choice and an unlocked door, shelter and violence living in the same knuckles. I hadn't figured out yet what to do with that.
That night, after the apartment goes dark and Steve takes his position by the window, and the world outside settles into the kind of silence that only exists when dangerous men have decided nothing else will happen today, I go into the bathroom and close the door. The light in here is different, bright, unforgiving. The kind of light George never let me stand under for too long because he said it made me look tired, and looking tired made him look bad, and looking bad meant consequences I learned to avoid by keeping the lights low and the makeup heavy. I look at the counter, my concealer, my foundation, the powder I bought in bulk because I went through it faster than any woman should, not for beauty, for architecture, for building a face over the face underneath, layer after layer after layer, every morning, until the woman in the mirror looked like someone whose life didn't hurt. I pick up a washcloth, run it under warm water, and I start taking it off. Foundation first. One stroke across my jaw, and the bruise from 3 weeks ago surfaces like something rising from deep water. Yellow at the edges now, green in the center, still tender when I press it. I keep going. Concealer next, under my left eye, where the skin is darker than makeup can fully correct, not from lack of sleep, but from the back of a hand that landed wrong 8 months ago. Powder off my cheekbone, where there's a mark so old I sometimes forget it's there until I see it without coverage and remember the exact Tuesday it was made. Layer by layer, stroke by stroke, the washcloth turns beige, then brown, then something darker. And underneath, me, the actual me, bruised and discolored and uneven, and mine. I look at her, the woman in the mirror. I don't look away. I don't cover her back up. I just stand there and let her exist in full light for the first time and longer than I can calculate. She's not what he said she was. She's not nothing. She's not worthless. She's not the kind of woman nobody intervenes for.
She's a woman who worked double shifts and planned an escape in silence and sat with a stranger at 2 a.m. and gave away the only warmth she had because someone else looked cold. She did all of that while carrying these bruises under her foundation, these fractures under her smile. She did it broken and still had enough left to be kind. That's not nothing. That was never nothing. I pick up the phone from the counter. I call Kate first, my sister, the one who sent me the ticket money I never asked for, wired it to the diner's address so George wouldn't see. She answers on the first ring, like she's been sleeping with the phone on her chest. Queen? I'm safe. My voice cracks on the second word, but I keep going. I'm not hiding anymore, and I'm not running. I'm walking. Do you hear me? I'm walking. She's crying. I let her. I call Mama next. Pam, the woman who told me to leave George 2 years ago and then watched me not leave and never stopped calling, not once, not even when I stopped answering. Mama, it's me. Silence. Then a breath that sounds like it's been held for 2 years. I tell her the same thing. I'm not hiding. I'm not running. I'm walking. When I hang up, I look at the mirror one more time. The bruises are still there. I don't cover them. Tomorrow, I'm walking out of this apartment with my face uncovered for the first time in 3 years. And whoever sees me will see all of me.
Same airport, same terminal, same fluorescent lights humming the same indifferent hum over the same polished floors. Gate B12. 3 weeks later, and I'm walking through this terminal again. New carry-on, one-way ticket. But this time, my hands aren't shaking. My legs aren't counting gates like a prayer. I'm not speed walking, not checking over my shoulder, not scanning every corridor for a silhouette that walks like it owns me. I'm just walking, the way people walk when no one is coming for them. Annabella drove me to the curb. She got out of the car, which I didn't expect, opened the trunk, handed me my bag, and then pulled me into a hug. Firm, brief, the kind of hug that says, I'm not worried about you anymore. She smelled like good perfume and quiet competence, same as the first morning. You have my number, she said, not a question. I have your number. She nodded once, got back in the car, drove away without watching me walk inside, because she understood something about me that took me years to understand about myself. I don't need someone watching to make sure I go through the door. The terminal is the same. The coffee kiosk, the bookstore, the wide glass windows letting in gray morning light. Same crowds rolling luggage to different lives, same hum. But I'm moving through it differently now. Not faster, not slower, steadier. Like the ground under me finally decided to stay where it is. I passed the spot where my carry-on skidded across the floor. I passed the stretch of tile where my knees hit and my voice broke open. I don't look away from it. I don't speed up. I walk over it the way you walk over a grave, knowing what's underneath, carrying it, not stopping. B7, B8, B9. I'm not counting this time. I'm just noticing. B10, B11. And then I see him. The security officer, Gabriel. Same post, same uniform, same young face, except something behind it has aged. He's standing near B12 with his hands clasped in front of him. And when he sees me, his body does a small, involuntary thing. He straightens. His chin drops half an inch, and he gives me a nod, small, quiet, carrying the specific weight of a man who knows he failed and has been living inside that failure every shift since. I nod back. Not forgiveness, not absolution, just acknowledgement. I see you seeing me. That's enough for today. The gate agent scans my boarding pass. I walk down the jetway with my passport case in my hand, and inside it, pressed between pages 2 and 3,
The $500 bill, soft at the folds, still real, not currency, evidence that I once poured coffee for a stranger at 2 a.m. and it mattered. That kindness, given freely, without strategy, without expectation, sometimes finds its way back to you through channels you couldn't have designed if you'd tried. I take my seat. Window. I don't check who's beside me. I don't check behind me. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. One text. The pie was still terrible, but the coffee was perfect. J. I smile. Not the smile I used to wear over bruises. The manufactured one, the architectural one, the one that said, "I'm fine," in a language built entirely for the comfort of people who weren't asking. This is the other kind, the kind that starts somewhere behind your ribs and reaches your mouth without permission. The kind you don't build, the kind that just is. The cabin door closes, the engine spool, the terminal slides away beneath me. Gate B12, the tile floor, the corridor, all of it shrinking, all of it releasing me the way a fist opens when it finally understands it was never entitled to hold on. I'm gone. She walked into that airport the first time running. She walked in the second time free. If this story made you feel something, something real, something that sits in your chest and won't leave, hit that like button. Share it with the person you'd pour coffee for at 2 a.m. And subscribe, because stories like Queen's don't end here. They echo. The next one is already coming.